Hello, everyone who is just coming back from our short intermission. Welcome back to our digital theater space. Once again, we are Performance Lab members. This is day 2 of our rendition of Intersection Digital Solo Festival. We just watched a performance by Sivan Sartin called Buteau of a Hummingbird. And now we are getting ready to move into our second piece for this afternoon. We are getting ready to see a piece by Jaco Schiller called Teenage Monologues, a Portrait of Patriarchy in Crisis. Jaco Schiller is an artist that I have had the great honor of working with over the last year and a half. We are co-researchers, colleagues, and getting to know Jaco better through his art is such a great way to understand kind of the passion that Jaco has for life and for people, humans, and all of the different journeys. I'm so proud to be introducing my friend Jaco Schiller with this piece, uh, Teenage Monologues, a Portrait of Patriarchy in Crisis. This piece engages with autoethnographic research, revisiting past self-reflective and creative works as that is crucial to embodied exploration. This work investigates feelings of insecurity and fear in a patriarchal society as a teenage boy. So without further ado, I will pass the microphone and spotlight over to my dear friend and colleague, Jaco Schiller.
Thank you, Cooper. So this is a compilation of works that were written between the age 13 to 17. And I think it really captures the moment in time. The creative work that I engage with is always a pretty direct translation of what I'm going through. I think that's all I'll say about it right now. But yeah. Teenage Monologues, a portrait of crisis and patriarchy. Chapter 1. Doesn't matter. Something broken inside me that holds me together rejects change and shuts out the exterior. My vision untainted by the drama of humanity. I am content in solitude. I am found in transience. We are temporary now and always. Infinity is zero. The disconnect is the connect. I am receptive in my isolation. And you are with me always. It is the blessing that curses me. My passion makes and breaks me. Fear of oneness keeps me outside the source. I will perish in my resistance. Please, let me break. Destroy my sanctuary, healing wounds with privilege. What used to heal me makes me ill. This is not our home. The earth does not belong to us. So we are displaced, rejected. You can keep running, but you'll never run away from this place. Trapped in the cycle, pleasure is illusion of pain. No longer addicted to sensory feeling, detached from sense and thought, learning what your love serves. Accepting reciprocation is selfish. The ego cannot give without receiving. Minds scarred by capitalist society. How do you know? It holds you. in the universal emptiness of vast mass. Let discomfort and deprivation and attachment penetrate me and mold my brain. Nothing I have learned matters. Logic and analysis kill me. I am alone with knowledge, interconnected with mystery. Knowing is restricting. Just let go of everything. Just be. Please. Chapter 2. Eat shit. Mind discriminating centipedes, hidden beneath exteriors of obstacles. Be the material you once were. Be that of softness and ocean, breath and conversion. Days spent in fog and generations in toilets. Oh yes, toilets filled with humans. Democrats, Republicans, moderates. Democrats at dirty rest stops, Republicans in filthy outhouses, and moderates in the yak bucket. Habitation, barely an excuse for a hand that could gesture a difference between shit and other shit and more shit, but these mind-discriminating centipedes will burn this building to the ground. Though once peaceful breaths of the ocean, now violent with misplacement. With time comes patience. The fire takes hold of the toilets. But now, where do the people shit? They will eat it and taste their own lies and deception of brother on brother and bitch slap on bitch slap. These people will shit into each other's mouths. Like mind discriminating centipedes of multiplication, be the material you once were. Chapter 3. Almost inapplicable. It starts with something. A brutal, light something. Joyous and depressed. Evil, yet livable. We see our futures as something. As we see each other, you wonder, who is coming? Who is following my path? What eyes lay upon my body? Are those eyes lustful, with insignificance, or feeling? You are gently falling into a universe of days. The sensation is unforgettable and complete. You are not alone in your falling, for we all fall, as if a drop of rain thought it had some kind of individuality or originality. They are all falling as we are. We all land in the same place, but our journeys are different. So be open to your journey. Don't take control. Let it take you. You are immortal. Remember that. You have time. Time slips and reorganizes, as should you. Do not fear slipping. From slipping, you will come to truth with yourself and find the answers. Chapter 4. Gather, Father. Sloth perm isn't what we vendor our slim gather fathers to be. They are French ticklers and traders of the sea. They wreck you and pirate you, thieving English seas, seas collapsed in unity. Women, all as one. He lures by living and perceives with achievement, or lacking there. Thy father lay his hands on these waters. It is he, the model, the great unnoticed inspiration, the hotel room of understanding. He, the father, the off of the grand, the coming of the you and family. It is he, the great warrior, that gallops through willowing sunset. He sinks his teeth into breasts and more important ideals that will determine not who you are, but what you think and do. The sink shrink says, "Go away, I'm not ready. I'm not clean for you yet," and things like that. But he, the dirty, and the dirtier, looking clean, wealthy, upright, and responsible. The loving father to a girl of 9, and in 3 years, 12. He, the worthless, arrogant, agedly masked with lines that lead to the system. The center mast, the highway of overabundance, seeking the last breath of his own day by day, names of girls you and your god dog could meaninglessly bang soul-filled spirits of feminism. And you, your advice? More bullshit than any dinosaur or politician ever shit, and more shit-filled. Bitch, your words are dry heaves in my chest. Advice is poison, coming to cuddle our indispensable independence and make us people we are not. Perhaps friends. Feed me weed under the table. With cash you take and leave from my wallet. Like your agreements, your teachings, the head you get from every cashier that ever nodded or winked. You were high every day you came home that week. You left my life, Daddy. Like an emergency entryway to Hollywood. My life is pork. Pink and red everywhere. Now I work with you, not for you. You touched girls on social media. Open the screen. Spicy, delicious, but thin and crisp like a buttery sauce, with splashes of caramel and dark maple almonds and acid tabs. What about them eddies and them pipes? Fatherly similarities reside in every graveyard and alleyway. Our heads spin when we discuss the source. You, Dad, the great one. Facebook stalking, body watching youthful comrades on locked screens. The giver and taker. The never-ending chamber of maybes and I don't knows. Sending any and every possible message together, from the first hopscotch in LA to the first puppet in Louisiana, and the last trip to Quebec. Scary man, though. So fucking scary. Frog whoppers coming through canals. Yeah, we're waiting for Dad, the real Dad. He's the one you hear on the phone or see on the brochure. Hangover. Fermentation is a slow and painful process on the brain. As I wipe the condensation off my beaten fingers, I can just barely recall the night. Singing, dancing, rejoicing. Out with the platters. Platters of edible colors which satisfy the tongue. Fluent understanding of flavor in the collaborative, creative whole of the human, locality within the face. A sense is nothing without love. A science is worthless without emotion. Motion for your character in a video game? No. Motion in the peaks of personality. Death to those with no quality of feeling. Perhaps not. Only waiting for the truth to arrive. My tongue, out of its home in the damp atmosphere. Hunger? Not sure. But less than a year ago, I never knew if I was hungry or had nothing else to do but devour. It's a satisfying action to a far extent. My tongue was x-rayed, and I saw a man with a shovel looking for worms in the frontal lobe of a deer in the Middle East of Europe. You know, just south of north. Anyway. 'Tis time. Defangling, dangling, bringy brang, brunken dangling. My fingers moving. I can taste their hunger for accuracy. A voice called, "Time for supper." I look over in blank thought, perhaps a bit dazed. Get up, swinging in the breeze of non-existence. Something floats towards me. My eyes feast on the greatest object in the world, except you, of course. There I step, a foot in front of the other. My hands stretched, ready to grasp. I bring the substance to where it will be consumed. I sit, I talk, I eat. I'm fucking happy. Family and friends around, old friends, mind you, from long ago. Each bite onto the next, gone. And there, look, 'tis what I think it is. Yes, indeed, a bottle of red wine. Beauty in a bottle indeed. The fruit of the vine, with the charm that dulls the human sense. A charm. Sip upon sip. Yes, glass upon glass. And bottle upon bottle. I can feel the world turning. Shit, now I see it turning. Everything moving, but I'm standing still. I try to do the things I love best. But I'm failing awkwardly upon stumbling. My voice, it sounds like an alien's. Like my fingers, they're floppy and dumb and accurate. I thought I loved being hammered over anything else because everything else is fucked. Nothing makes sense unless you're stoned. When we die, we don't die. We wake from our long, painful, disgusting, beautiful, lovely, dreadful, delicious life and actually start living. Everything before death is a rehearsal for an anonymous performance. Hammered in our current life is closer to truly living than anything else. Tell that to your parents, my friend. But no, when I can create and know or be aware of what I am creating, I feel better. I'd feel better if I knew what I was saying right now. This hangover is a bitch. Hey. You want the truth? I love you. And everything else. Just because I'm like that. Like a moose in the jungle, or a lion in the forest, or one of those weird ass flavored jelly beans you ate accidentally. I love you. And everything else. I hear that voice again, this time in song and melody from different lips. Where are you? I attempt the treacherous 30-yard journey. And as I arrive, I explain that I must retire to my bed, and in doing so, fall asleep. Question. My stomach feels like an accordion in use. Tummy consumed by pills, sex. We love it, we hate it, we underestimate it, like a strawberry dipped in white chocolate that we thought was dark. A moment of utter surprise and discomfort, angry with yourself and everyone else. Pussy. Dick. Tits. Ass. The words of revolution within the soul. The never-ending battle of the self against self and brother versus brother. My system's still detoxing from tequila lemonade. So I question, where? How? When? Who? Fuck that son of a bitch. Fuck him hard up the ass. Why was it him and not me? We knew it'd be him first. We kept telling ourselves that, but I never believed it. It was all bullshit. But not this time. Yet still no proof I hold. I feel it. I feel its truth penetrating my ribs, like a sting from a hornet in the garden, and splitting it open, injecting heroin and hydrochloric acid in it. I feel useless. Life wasting away before my hacked eyes, hacked by my own put-down conscience. Yes, a put-down, but fucking righteous. Am I even living? Fenced, contrived, yet so in love, with manifestations of absolute value. Value of positive interaction, like when a child is born. Your sister, your brother, your son, your daughter. Liberty of negative thought at its fullest. Uplifted within. This is what I love. But I've forgotten something essential. I am a horny teenage boy. I must fornicate in order to be satisfied with myself. In order for me to remain friends with the people I've loved for years. Fuck them all. A friendship equals bullshit. A load of lies. Communication, words. Words, sexual advancements and dreams. Sexual advancements and dreams, thought. Thought, brain. Brain, science. Science, spirituality. Spirituality, sex. Here we are again. A broken record, an infinite cycle of waiting or wasting, inflicting or fucking. We all run into it. Some through friends, some through the internet, through experience, using your senses and awareness to find the hurting creatures. They hurt more than a serious sunburn. Question yourself. What have either of us actually accomplished? The fucker's love. She thinks it's not the Messiah, but it is. I will eat the Messiah with contentment. It will taste of pureness and harmony unspoken. Eye contact. I, the fucker, the mutator, the mutated. Try to reassure the girl with more words, sent with unpaid data and reaching her optic nerve, not her ear holes. Never finding her head through the clearer canal of sound. No explanation appropriate for that soul voice, one she has. She confirms that it is not passable or possible. I refuse to give in and forget what I know is the truth. My love is the sun, not cloud coverage. The ocean, not landlocked. Creative and vitality of life, not bitched up with abductees alike. Wake up from the mental self-abusive slumber and erase dreams of thoughts that degrade yourself. Wake to reality. Do not ever take a bath. You are too lovely to infect with cleanliness. You never needed a wash. Your body is fire in winter, and I am unable to leave. It is so radiant and beautiful. I see her shake her head, and the fucker is tired and presses his lips to hers, embracing every ounce of her, because she is perfect and he knows it. This chapter is called 3/4. I stood in front of the bus with 50 cents in hand, though it was 60 cents to ride. So I asked the man on my left for a dime, but he only had a quarter. So I entered the bus with 15 more cents than I needed. Manipulates me, controls me. I am a puppet. I was taken away from her. She only wished to be a human being, sane, unspoiled, a true mother, only wished for family and sanity. Lawyers, just stay here and wait on possibilities. But I was swept, she said. I idolized the man. With every heroic feat of train jumping, every pussy laid. Things were only worse when I said them. Worse for the world, worse for the court. His name was Ignorance, who guided Lady Wrath. Through the thoughts of the kindred and the lovers, the artists, the stick-banging, lip-stretching lovers, they swung in the plane of young bliss to be picked when it ripened in autumn. Summer brought the sex, the THC, the waters. With fall came the sick, red, breaking world in self-recovery. My head was stirred as a tire of swing. My beard was shaven, revealing the loss of soul, the marks of every vulnerable idea that guided my mind, every stunt that was stopped briskly with the stretch of fingers that no longer found joy in riding the waves. Sound waves of beauty like audible sunsets. With heat of embers, the triangles danced with their piercing sharp edges that enter the skull, much like webs in the road of darkness. Gripping your hands in spiders and Velcro, never to find the smoothness of beaches in the Caribbean. I reached inside my ripped, concussed forehead and pulled out the muscles. Reached inside my ganja-soaked, David Lynch-loving, empathetic yet controlled mind, and I swept out the common sense and let in fear, a dear friend of ignorance. Dear like the ones I take shelter with, the nuts, the fearful, the manipulative, the puppets. While I suffered in the rotting flesh of peeling skin and pus-filled cheeks, morphine and others, my ears burned like sexual hornet intercourse, my eyes glued shut with pus and the dying face and the knotted blue strings. My goose was raw and risky, yet I re-entered the universe like no other, a fearful into fear, a tormented, traumatized in the lap of ignorance. And hell was the slut pleasuring ignorance by accepting it and rubbing his cock all over ignorance's lap. He wanted it, was waiting for it, because he did not want to feel original by never being greeted by pain. And pain arrived like an involuntary head rush through the stomach. The lap dance, still hard on and wet, getting faster, till he burst. His realization come, lay all over the musty earthen floor. Ignorance still sat there, breathing heavily, sitting in orgasm recovery. And ignorance took out his chains and a strap-on cock and whipped me till my scars reopened. And those eyes of hers lay low, looking up at the wobbling sky and the cold beneath her. Could she see death? Surely as clear as I, for it was as clear as dusk for me. Shaking and hyperventilating, they carried her to guidance. But guidance never helps. It never did, it never will. Her head only scarred with every passing day, as did mine. She wailed one evening, and water filled my reddening eyes. Each memory presented by means of yet another red streak to the pupil. The center of visual knowledge. I ran and hid, and was met moments later with colossal salt water and smaller reddening eyes. Buckets of tears soaked to bone. Embrace that lasted a youthful lifetime. The kindred were cradled in salty, painful love. That was the day the idol drove away. As the moments grew with events to fill space and drugs to fill time, my belly awoke with pain, saying a friendly hello, claiming that I had damaged ignorance when fucking him. His asshole was stretched too large for comfort. So I patted his back and kicked his balls so fucking hard they came out of his mouth and blood spilled all over. And I partied hard. I fucking was free from the ignorance, metallic grasp, and chains. I took some dabs and some wax and bloody fingernail strumming. Strummed till the nail pulled around in my forehead, my skin encased in thick feather and triangular needles. The mass stuck to me like gum on a railing, and my intimacy closed twice, with much good, yet much suffering. I am the lady with her brains on the floor. I am the psychologist who swallows them with a spoon and some liquor. You are the ghost child standing in my way with your meaningless existence. Get out of my fucking way! You haven't been through shit! Cocksuckers! Suck my ignorant shit-covered dick, you whore! Thrill me and listen. Your life is meaningless as mine. Let me tell you if you're educated or not. Bullshit! My days are lessening truth and cash, elongating strife and dope. Time is a mean man with scissors, snipping off your roots and putting them in his food. He feeds off your thought like ignorance serves your ass lead. Lead that's oh so good and oh so sweet with its nutty chocolate edges and creamy center. Feels so good in your ass, don't it? I don't know about you, but I'm starting to taste that cream in my mouth. So spoil the set, burn the jungle, derange the women for pleasures, sexualize the men for psychedelics. All she ever really wanted was an escape, a sturdy head and road meeting escape. She found in the tears collected in summer, the autumn filled with suicide attempts, and yet more liquor and cum. All we ever wanted was to screw off our heads. Screw them off like corks. Pop! Insanity. One day she will revisit me. She could be a hammer. She could be a needle. She could be a flame. She could be human. But when that day arrives, I'll rape its guts out, for I am superior to fear. The boy, filled with stupidity, replied. My scars are almost healed. It's time to get on the machine. Ride the highway to acceptance and status quo. There are no more films to watch. He pulled out his brains from his peeling face, and he looked at the scene and saw that it was good. Even though the sting of his fingernails were burning and the Velcro grew louder. So she breathed her last breath of joy in embrace, and pain, handicapped ignorance, seized her again, even tighter, lead heavier. And he walked into the next day with the clammy wet hands he always possessed. So I re-entered the world with 75 cents in hand. 15 extra cents I did not need, but desired. Regardless that I paid more than needed, I paid time with more sense. And so he ran after me with scissors in hand and sliced off my roots like fresh lemon bread. And I did not go in search of my broken roots again. This chapter is called Us. I can't feel you the way you feel yourself. You can't feel me the way I feel myself. We don't know each other. We know ourselves. Immortal, it seems, the sense of misunderstanding. Can beings truly coexist in symmetric harmony? The way you turn a compass and connect the end of a circle? There is no truth, only corruption. No words to express the confusion that is within us. The human mind is dead to us now. 'Twas wasted on networks and organisms and ones we thought we loved. And through time, I traveled and saw you. You. Sitting under the sun, the glistening liquid falling from the sun's face. You glowed like a worm in the darkness of a soul. I dreamed you were king and I your queen. I licked your feet, felt you. And I found a small void in your skin. In it, I made a nest where I planted my consciousness. And I held you responsible for my death as I rose like a rose in the summer. But as I died, I felt you once more. Your feet tasted of pain, regret, and just an ounce of compassion. They grew like roots of a tree, interlacing, spiraling, breaking apart, yet still intact, but only deep within. Similar to us. An echo looked me in the ear and explained, you are her, she is him, he is you, now fall. I fell. I never stopped. Bottomless. But I felt as if I were hitting ground repeatedly, infinitely, again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again, and again. The pain was that of a mountain growing through my back out of my stomach. No end to this mountain. And then I puked. I puked you. I literally puked you. There you were, new as ever, in your clean suit. You know, not the clip-on tie, the real thing. We're falling now, together, unified. I touched your face, try to, but I felt as if I were waving, for your face proceeded to retract away from me, as if I were pulling taffy. My cell phone rang, and as I picked up, you were gone. Gone like an icicle on a tepid day. So cruel, the universe. Revealing my ongoing mystery. Coexisting in symmetric harmony is as foreign as a zebra playing hopscotch with Jesus Christ and a lollipop on his shoulder who is shouting, "Be free, my fellow stars," as he reaches for a lemon tissue built of your aunt's toenails. My falling continued. I heard the harmony. 'Twas in shoe. I took off my shoe, and it radiated like a dream. Breathe until you can't. Between now and then, know that you know you better than I or she, for my landing is as difficult as the comprehension of human intercourse. Final chapter. You. Feel the presence resonating in you. You are my air, as is your hair, flying in the world, leaking indescribable, subtle meaningfulness, grasping my attention, pulling me towards you. You are enigmatic in my mind, which doubles my feelings for what is not abstract in this life. Sure, solid scenes rule the scientific picture, but in the end, it's all surreal, so real. Familiarize, defamiliarizing. You inspire me to live the way I live. Lying on mysteries, losing my mind, and balancing my consciousness. You remind me that there is beauty in this planet, as is there beauty in consciousness. Folding the ends of the paper feels like folding the ends of the earth. And I'm starting with the hardest parts to fold. The cities are hard to fold physically, but the forest is too painful to fold. Memories awakening, passing moments, wasting away. No. Where is there to waste myself to? This life is not waste. You have told me this in your eyes. You have hinted me of this in your smile. I am relieved, more so than any drug. You hold my love of consciousness in your hands, but feel no pressure. For all you have to do is breathe. But please, don't look away. Please, look into my eyes again. For that makes waking from this life so distant. Makes me wish it were even more distant. You see, I love you. With the most subtle yet powerful. With the most abstract yet concrete. With the most truth yet mystery.
Jaco. What a work.
Thank you.
How do you feel?
A lot. Yeah. Yeah, I really like what Cooper said in the beginning. I was gonna say something like that. Just this work, revisiting this work has been especially important in the autoethnography research process. Writing has always been a really it's always been a strong and powerful way for me to engage with myself in the world, and to revisit this kind of writing has been scary. The person that I see in this writing, the teenage self that I see, is just so different from who I feel I am today. And it's been really interesting to, just today reading it, I felt a lot more connection to that person, particularly in just how I do feel a lot of these things still, strongly. Yeah. So that's kind of where my thoughts are with that. But yeah, it's been a journey for sure.
Yeah, heard for sure. Thank you for your vulnerability. I have one question for you, maybe one, and that is, so after hearing this, something that I'm left with is, how do you personally hold so much nihilism and so much hope in the same moment? How do you facilitate that moment?
That's such a good question. I think that one of the reasons that I've chosen a portrait of crisis and patriarchy is really fueled by systemic ways of thinking in United States culture specifically, but Western culture in general, of thinking in very binary ways. I think that bringing awareness to that, and an intention of moving away from that type of thinking, has really opened up the way I look at things in the world. And this idea of this duality between nihilism and hope, I guess, in humanity. To me, I think impermanence is embodying that balance, because impermanence is not good or bad. It's nature, and I I have very mixed feelings about it still. Like, this is a ongoing journey, but impermanence is really beautiful to me, I think. It's interesting, one of the lines I say is like, "You are immortal, remember that." Like, there's so many contradictions, in this writing, and within myself. So then there's still there. I feel like the more I learn, actually, the more contradictions I encounter. So yeah, I think balance is generally the key for me to have a somewhat informed sense of reality, to the best that can be achieved, in a way that is empowering, even in the grief, and the extreme emotions that come with it.
So impermanence and impermanence gives me a lot to think about. So thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Acceptance of impermanence and contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Jaco. Thank you for sharing that and opening up your art for feedback as well. I found myself laughing hysterically at some points in that writing. Not just the words, but hearing you perform your teenage self in a lot of ways now, years after. I think it really helps to like illuminate and perhaps exaggerate that extreme sort of despair or hope that one can feel when just trying to figure out who they are, um, relatively speaking, to where they are in their life and their environment. Um, and some parts of that were very shocking and just like really captured my attention. The language and gesture. Thank you so much for sharing that. It really impacted me in a lot of ways and caused me to think about my ups and downs as a teenager. And I'll be thinking a lot of the value of connecting myself back to that time and not just excusing any memories of that as being only in the past, but that they really are so much a part of how I presently view and feel things. Thank you for that impact. Okay, well, it is time for our third and final performance. This final performance for this afternoon is going to be performed by my colleague and co-researcher, T Caballero. This performance is called This Body. I was able to get a little bit of a sneak preview of some of the behind the scenes generation that went into this performance. And I just have to say, this is such a captivating piece. And I am so, so proud of my friend for all of the hard work that has gone into this performance and just the beautiful vulnerability and generosity of Teaspoon in creating, living, and sharing this experience with us as an audience. So, without further ado, T, would you like to say anything before I pull up this performance?
Yeah, I just want to say that fire is so important to me, and it, like, fire spinning in the fire spinning community literally saved my life. They mean so much to me, and I was just so excited to be able to integrate that art into what we are doing here in Performance Lab and with Ruth. And this is my first time doing something like this, which is super exciting. And I just want to dedicate this to, if anyone's watching this, my fire family out there, all the friends that I've made, and all the people who care about me and who have helped me get to where I am now. This is for y'all.
Five. All that mattered was climbing trees, making art, playing and laughing, feeling the wind brush my cheek and the sun kiss my skin, colored body and wide eyes, indicators of where I came from, but the brown elephant in the room. Chubby cheeks and the squishy tummy, softness that made me cute, until the first time someone laughed at my weight. Tender touches and self-love before I even knew what masturbating was, All I knew was that it felt good. So how could something that felt so good be so wrong? 14. Staring in the mirror, I see my reflection, distorted. Who is that? A needle in the haystack, the designated Asian of the group. But somehow I still forget that I'm not white when I'm surrounded by people not like me. Maybe if I cover my true colors and hide who I really am, I'll finally see myself on the TV. But how could I when the TV is reserved for angels kissed by snow and not dirty street rats that belong in the dirt? Where are you from? They'd say. But where are you really from? 19. Staring in the mirror, I see disgusting tummy rolls, but can't see that for all the love that I hold, hearing the echo of people's words, sharp daggers in my flesh. You're eating too much, piggy, fat, ugly. I need to be thin. I need to be thin. I need to be thin. I need to be pretty. I need to be beautiful. I need to be sexy for eyes not meant to be looking at someone as young as me. These beauty standards have been shoved down my throat since I was a child, that all I see as I'm purging my dinner are my imperfections being flushed away. "22. Staring in the mirror, I see his filthy fingerprints on me. His touch on my skin, signs of conquest of what I once thought was mine. Stop! Don't touch me! I want him off me, but I can't escape when the feeling of his grip follows me wherever I go. So I scrub until my skin is sweeter than sunset. I scrub, but it doesn't matter how much I scrub. I will never be clean enough. I can still feel him on me. I can still feel his hands on me and his dick inside me. So scrub harder until I watch myself wash away with the water. This body that I spent so many years learning to hate, this body that reflects the story of my ancestors, this body that holds more love than 90 pounds could ever carry, this body that is mine and no one else's, is not my enemy. I am not my body. But this body is me. Now, my body is the most important thing about me, but not because that's what Cosmopolitan tells me. It's the most important thing because it's how I experience the world. It's how I climb trees, make art, play, and laugh. We are taught to ignore our blood, bones, and flesh, to police, to control, to dominate, but forget that this is part of the human experience. Do you even know what it feels like when the wind brushes your cheek and when the sun kisses your skin?
Wow. That was so strong, T, and I was at the edge of my seat the entire time.
I think that I should ask you the same question I asked Jaco, uh, and maybe you'll take a different approach to it. But nihilism and hope, hope and despair, and I mean, a very very basic question for why we continue, but a very important question to talk about with each other.
I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat the question because I
Okay.
don't remember.
How do you balance nihilism and hope, and what is it that like inside of you, what is it that brings you to this final scene of, do you know what it feels like to feel the sun on your skin and the wind through your hair? It's just such a duality, of being in complete despair and rejection, and being in um, presence and being present in life. And I don't know. So I just want to hear a little bit more about that process for you on a personal level, daily level, because we all go through it. And if we don't, we're avoiding it.
Yeah, I would say that it's a cycle and you gotta have both. And some days I wake up and I hate being in this body and I think it sucks. And other days it's fantastic. And I know it's not always going to be sunshine and daisies. But I don't strive to be happy. I don't strive to be hopeful. I strive to be happier than I was yesterday. I strive to be happier than I was 5 years ago. I hope that makes sense.
Absolutely does. That's great. Thank you.
Yeah, T, I feel ablaze now. Just after hearing your words and literally just seeing that like play with fire, that like burst of just heat. My heart is beating fast and my cheeks feel so warm, like you have really like imparted and invited me to feel um alive. Like I have a fire underneath me too that is always causing something to move forward. And I really felt like that also partially came from this chronological sort of beginning to this piece where you said 5 and 19 and just feeling the process of always needing to continue, and the feeling of like fire under your feet and needing to move and transition and just grow. And then hearing you talk just now about your balance between like hope and despair can just sort of look like I'm just the only thing I'm striving for is to be happier than I was yesterday or 5 years ago. That's really, really inspiring and impacts me. So thank you for sharing that piece.
Thank you.
All right.
I also want to say thank you to Jaco for filming that. That was beautiful. That was my first time watching it. And I am so lucky to have friends like everyone here. Good comments.
Wonderful. Okay, it is about that time. We are right past 4 o'clock. Thank you all so much for coming to the first part of day 2 of our festival. In about 2 hours here, we will have another performance live streamed, so please check back to this same event on Facebook or the same Zoom link. There will be another performance this evening. Thank you all so much for your attendance and support here in the Zoom room as well as on Facebook. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you again in just 2 hours, 6 o'clock Arizona time. Thank you, everyone.